Good morning. As the sun rises over the nation's capital, a sense of uncertainty hangs in the air. Today is Thursday, October 2nd, 2025, and the United States federal government has officially shut down. The city that never truly sleeps is now eerily quiet, its iconic buildings standing silent as the nation faces a new crisis. Lawmakers in Washington, D.C. failed to agree on a funding plan before the midnight deadline, leaving the government without money for many services and workers. The halls of Congress, once bustling with debate and negotiation, are now empty. This isn't just a political story, it's a real crisis already affecting millions of Americans. Families across the country woke up to news that their lives could be disrupted in ways big and small. The shutdown became official on Wednesday, October 1st, marking the first in nearly 7 years. For many, it's a reminder of how fragile government operations can be. Congress is silent, both the Senate and House are out of session, and no negotiations are underway. The usual flurry of activity has been replaced by an uneasy stillness. Every day without a resolution deepens the impact. The clock is ticking, and the consequences grow more severe with each passing hour. Essential government functions are at risk, national parks may close, government websites go dark, and vital services could be suspended, leaving Americans without the support they depend on. Calls to federal agencies go unanswered. People seeking help or information are met with silence, adding to the frustration and confusion. The ripple effect is immediate, touching federal employees, small businesses, and communities that rely on government contracts and services. Paychecks are delayed, and uncertainty grows. Citizens who rely on federal programs for healthcare, food assistance, and other vital needs are left wondering what comes next. The country is left in a state of uncertainty, with no clear end in sight. News outlets buzz with speculation, but answers are few and far between. Democrats and Republicans must return to the table and find common ground to reopen the government. The pressure is mounting for leaders to put aside differences and act. The blame game has started, but for families and citizens, a solution matters more than finger-pointing. People want action, not arguments. The nation is watching, waiting for leadership to break the deadlock. The world is watching too, as America's political divisions play out on the global stage. The stakes are high and the consequences are real. For now, the country holds its breath, hoping for a breakthrough that will bring an end to the shutdown and restore stability to American life. What exactly is a government shutdown? It's a term you might hear on the news, but what does it really mean for the country and for everyday Americans? Think of the U.S. government like a giant household. It needs money to pay its bills, just like any family does. Every year, the government has to plan out how it will spend money on everything from national defense to parks and schools. Congress must approve spending bills each year. These bills decide how much money each part of the government gets, and without them, nothing can be funded. If they don't, the government loses its legal authority to spend. That means agencies can't pay employees, fund programs, or keep services running. This year, lawmakers couldn't even agree on a temporary fix, called a continuing resolution, so the shutdown began. These disagreements are often about how much to spend and what to prioritize. During a shutdown, the government divides its work into essential and non-essential services. Essential services are those that protect life, property, and national security. Essential workers, like those in national security, air traffic control, and law enforcement, must keep working, but without pay until the shutdown ends. They're the backbone of public safety, and their jobs can't pause. This puts enormous financial strain on families who are required to work with no paycheck in sight. Many are forced to dip into savings or take on debt just to get by. Non-essential services like passport processing, national parks, and federal research are put on hold. This means vacations are canceled, scientific progress stalls, and important paperwork is delayed. Workers in these roles are furloughed, sent home without pay. They're left waiting, uncertain when or if they'll be called back. In the past, furloughed workers usually received back pay, but this time, there's a new threat. Some may not get their jobs back at all. The anxiety is growing as the shutdown drags on. The shutdown is a failure of Congress's basic duty to keep the government running. It's a sign of deep divisions and political gridlock. It's not just about politics. It's about real people losing income and services. Families, businesses, and communities all feel the impact. Essential services limp along, but the rest of the government grinds to a halt. The ripple effects can be felt across the entire country. The longer it lasts, the more damage it does. Delays pile up, and the uncertainty grows for everyone involved. This shutdown is different, and the consequences could be permanent for many workers. The uncertainty is unprecedented, and the stakes are higher than ever before. Americans are left wondering when, or if, normalcy will return. The effects reach far beyond Washington, touching lives in every state. The stakes have never been higher. As the shutdown continues, the nation waits for a solution and hopes for a return to stability. At the heart of the shutdown is a fierce battle over healthcare funding. Democrats demand continued support for Affordable Care Act subsidies and Medicaid, calling them essential for millions. They argue that losing these programs would trigger a national health crisis. Republicans, led by Senate Majority Leader John Thune and House Speaker Mike Johnson, want a clean, temporary funding bill. No extra healthcare money attached. They say the subsidies were meant to be temporary and are too costly to extend. Both sides refuse to budge, turning a budget deadline into a high-stakes standoff. The result, a political stalemate with no easy exit. To truly understand the current deadlock in Washington, it's important to look closely at what each party is fighting for, and why neither side is willing to give ground. Democrats are drawing a firm line in the sand, refusing to support any spending bill that doesn't include robust healthcare funding, especially for ACA subsidies and Medicaid expansion. For them, this isn't just a policy debate. It's a moral stand to protect working families, children, and the elderly, people who rely on these programs for their health and security. Democratic leaders argue that sacrificing these programs would cause lasting harm, not just to individuals, but to the nation's social safety net as a whole. On the other side, Republicans are laser-focused on fiscal restraint and reducing government spending. They want a clean, short-term funding bill, one that avoids new spending or policy changes, keeping the government running without expanding its commitments. Republicans accuse Democrats of holding the government hostage to push their own priorities, arguing that now is not the time for costly new programs. The White House, led by President Trump and Vice President JD Vance, has thrown its full support behind the Republican approach, calling the Democrats' demands reckless and irresponsible. For Republicans, this fight is about controlling the national debt and reining in what they see as runaway government spending. For Democrats, it's about protecting vital services that millions of Americans depend on every day, from healthcare to education and food assistance. This fundamental clash of values and priorities is the reason the government remains closed, with no compromise in sight. With both sides deeply entrenched, neither party is willing to blink, leaving the nation caught in the middle of a high-stakes standoff. This shutdown is different and scarier for federal workers. The White House has announced that mass layoffs could begin within days, a dramatic shift from past shutdowns where furloughs were temporary. The Office of Management and Budget has told agencies to prepare for irreversible cuts and firings. Democrats call this mafia-style blackmail, accusing the administration of using workers as bargaining chips. The threat of permanent job loss has sent shockwaves through the federal workforce. Earlier layoffs under the Department of Government Efficiency, led by Elon Musk, have already heightened anxiety. Now, the fear is not just lost pay, but lost careers. When the government shuts down, its workforce splits in two. Essential employees, military, TSA, law enforcement, must keep working, but their paychecks stop. They face impossible choices: work without pay, while bills pile up. Non-essential workers, scientists, park rangers, administrators, are furloughed, sent home without pay or even the ability to check email. Their absence halts services Americans rely on, from national parks to Social Security applications. The shutdown's impact is immediate and personal. Families face financial crisis, and the threat of permanent layoffs looms. The work of these employees touches every American life. The uncertainty is crushing morale and trust in government. No one knows when or if they'll return to work. The shutdown's impact ripples far beyond federal workers. Programs like WIC, which help low-income mothers and children, are at risk of running out of funds. Social Security and Medicare payments continue, but new applications and problem resolution face major delays. Key government departments halt operations, delaying economic data and services. The economic cost is massive: billions lost, small businesses hurt, and local economies strained. With 750,000 federal employees on unpaid leave, the crisis is national, not just political. The shutdown disrupts daily life for millions. In a bold move, 35 federal worker unions have backed Democratic leaders' refusal to compromise on healthcare and public services. They've told their members, enduring a shutdown is worth it to protect essential programs. Union leaders say the long-term mission of public service outweighs short-term hardship. They fear that giving in now would set a dangerous precedent, making shutdowns a tool for deep cuts in the future. Their support strengthens Democrats' resolve and complicates the Republican narrative. The union's stance reframes the debate. It's about the value of government, not just politics. Workers are betting that short-term pain will protect the services they believe in. Their conviction adds a powerful human element to the crisis. As the shutdown drags into its second day, the nation waits in anxious limbo. No negotiations are scheduled, and both parties are locked in a public blame game. President Trump's divisive rhetoric deepens the standoff. To reopen the government, Congress must find a bipartisan deal that can pass both chambers and be signed into law. The longer the shutdown lasts, the greater the economic and personal toll. Families face missed paychecks, mounting bills, and growing uncertainty. The threat of permanent layoffs hangs over federal workers. Americans are frustrated and exhausted, watching their leaders fail at a basic task. The country waits, hoping for a swift, responsible end to the crisis.